Culture have credited Pilates for keeping them in shape. But now a man better known for his big clunking fists has taken up this stretching and strengthening exercise.
Yes, apparently Gordon Brown is having daily sessions during his summer break. So is he limbering up for a leadership challenge? Well, Michael White is the Guardian's assistant editor. Anita Ferruzzi is a Pilates teacher. Good morning to both of you.
Hello.
And in the background here...
There's Gordon Brown.
Well, yes. Do you think at this stage, Anita, that Gordon Brown could actually achieve that pose?
Well, no, that's a very advanced move, so and a very toned body. So I don't think that is Gordon Brown.
What are the benefits of Pilates? And I mean, why would they benefit someone who's under as much pressure as the Prime Minister is?
Well, it can be good for relieving stress. People do say it's relaxing with the breathing. And also you have to completely wipe the mind and focus on the movements while you're making them. So he wouldn't be able to think of affairs of state for an hour or so while he was doing the workout if he was to be able to do the exercises properly.
Michael, do you think Gordon Brown will be pleased that this is sort of now being talked about and everyone knows he's doing Pilates? Does it send out the wrong image? Do you think he wanted this information out? Or is it something he would get private? What's going on?
Well, there are two things here. One is the privacy thing. I'm not sure how this arose or how it got into yesterday's Daily Telegraph. Do you remember the Duke of Edinburgh was complaining about we were speculating about his prostate, something which should not happen to anybody of his age or even mine. And that's a bit unfair. And it may be that Brown wanted to keep it private. He's in many ways a private man. That said, it's an excellent thing to do. I mean, I don't do it, but I know people who do. And as you've just said, it's sort of good for keeping your limbs when you get older, get more supple. In Gordon Brown's case, of course, the magic word you used just then a moment ago was a relax.
Yes,
and get away from the affairs of state. And Brown is one of these people who sort of thinks, you know, if only I got up earlier every morning and worked a bit harder, it would all come right. I don't use the word workaholic, but he works very hard, Gordon Brown. On the other hand, Blair was a man who could relax easily, particularly on holiday, of course, as the whole world knows. He was good at holidays, Tone. So, you know, that's good for Brown, and if he is doing it, he's getting benefit from him. Excellent.
Anita, we talk about Pilates as if we all know what it is, but what is it? I mean, you know, is it sort of yoga? Is it sort of aerobics? What do you do?
Well, some people do think it's quite similar to yoga because there's because it's breathing and relaxing, but actually it's very different in that there's no philosophy behind it. It's purely a physical thing. It's like a science of movement.
We've got a willing volunteer.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm perfectly dressed.
It's not me.
I'm perfectly dressed for the occasion.
Yes.
You have brought the mats.
Yeah.
So if we step over there,
Okay.
and you can talk us through a little bit.
Right.
I have taken my microphone off. So what would you
Presumably
like me to
doing
do?
it in a suit isn't ideal.
No, it's not. And also you should really be barefoot.
I should be on the further mat.
Okay.
Okay.
And yes, you shouldn't really have your shoes on.
No, ignore the shoes.
Ideally, you should have a little cushion probably for your head.
We don't have cushions.
So you need to lie down with your legs bent up. It's very good if you have a bad back or neck. I'm just going to teach you the breathing very quickly. So if you take some normal breaths in and out, and your ribs and your stomach and ribs should come up and down. Yeah. We breathe laterally in Pilates, so if you put your fingertips together on the bottom of the ribs, you should be able to open the ribs out to the side instead of them coming up and down.
I've always found that thing about breathing rather confusing because I just sort of breathe and don't think about it. But I know it's crucial, isn't it?
Well, it's very important in Pilates because you need to be able to breathe laterally instead of everything coming up and down because you keep the stomach contracted the whole time, which makes the back very strong. And you do that by scooping the navel back towards the spine, but without flattening the back.
But assuming Gordon Brown is a beginner in Pilates, this is where he'd be starting.
Yes, lying on the floor, yes.
Can I just ask Michael, I mean, we can now imagine Gordon Brown doing Pilates exercises. What does it do for his image that we now know this is what he does
Well,
twice
you know,
a day?
people are different. Some people will think, as I do, well, that he's the sort of chap who probably needs this kind of relaxation. Don't forget, he was always very sporty as a young man. He got that eye injury playing rugby. He still plays a lot of tennis, apparently, which surprised me. A friend of mine told me a couple of years ago. So he's naturally somebody who's interested in sport in the way that, you know, personally I'm not. So that's good. And it's difficult in his life if you don't get exercise. Blair had a gym installed. I don't know whether Brown uses it. And as I said a minute ago, I think he's entitled to a bit of privacy. Other people will laugh. But then, as Barack Obama said the other day about keeping your air pressure up, some people just love being ignorant.
I have to say that the circumstances in which we were doing it there cannot be ideal, can it? With a sort of with a studio setting with people watching, all that kind of thing.
Well, that was just a breathing exercise. I mean, you didn't actually do any of the actual exercises that would
No, there's
strengthen
plenty
your
more.
stomach.
No.
Or, there are lots of movements, well, like Gordon Brown is doing here.
Or somebody with Gordon Brown's head superimposed onto them
Yes.
anyway. Lovely to talk to you both, and Anita Ferruzzi and Michael White. Thanks very much indeed. And
Next
Charlie,
time it's your turn, Michael.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a deal.
OK, it is 6:46. Still no clock, I'm afraid, but we'll keep you up to date with the time. You're watching Breakfast